fruit flies. Tiny little buggers that seem to appear out of nowhere once your fruit starts to grow old. But what's going on inside their tiny little bug brains, and can that help us understand our own brains better?
Do you remember a time that makes you happy? Do you remember a smell that makes you happy because you remember something pleasant and happy? We make memories based on things we smell. But how do things get from our nose to our brain? Well, we're learning that. So what I study is I look at fruit flies, I test them, and I give them smells. And they learn things on those smells, whether they are good things that they learn or bad things that they learn. And I'm trying to help figure out, insert them in, the way the little wires are in the brain, based on the way they react. You have a picture that has thousands and thousands upon pixels per square inch. You get a very clear picture. That is similar to kind of like our neuron connections, where we have thousands upon thousands of neurons, okay? Now let's say we scale that picture down to where it's only like about 300 pixels per square inch. We lose resolution, but we still keep the same overall image. The brain is similar, where we have the underlying circuit that is mirrored in both systems. Our brain is very complex, but a fruit fly's brain has a lot less neuron connections. Because of that, even though there is still a huge amount of neurons, we can understand the brain a bit better. Okay, so with any good science, we have to start with collecting. We collect flies in this case. We have 3 species. The first one is Drosophila melanogaster, Drosophila yacuba, and we will also be testing its subspecies, which is Drosophila yacuba meatensis. Today, I'm going to teach you how to shock the crap out of some flies, and then they'll die.
The flies are taken into a room with red light as the only light source. This is because they are unable to see red light through their red eyes, ensuring that they can't see movements outside of the vials, and their decisions are purely based on their olfaction. We have 2 vials of Drosophila melanogaster, 1 vial to shock on the scent of 3-octanol, and the other to shock on the scent of air.
We tap them down so they don't escape, and then we tap them in. And they make the strangest sound when they're stuck in here. I'm not sure if that picked up, but it's such a funny sound. And we dump them all in.
The flies are shocked repeatedly on the scent for 1 minute, given a small break, and introduced to the other scent, which they are not shocked on, before resting for 30 minutes.
So we introduce the air for a minute. Clear the timer. Air. Set.
This will be repeated for Drosophila yacuba and Drosophila yacuba meatensis.
Now we are going to test their memory abilities. So we are going to grab that same loading tube as we did before. We slide it in, we tap them in, and then we slide it closed. We then have them stuck in between the 2 slides of acrylic. That gives us time to put our test tubes in. This will be the air side. This will be the octanol side. And from there, we get to plug in the octanol, plug in the air, and slide forward. And we set our timer for 2 minutes. And seeing as this is our OCT positive, they should start going towards the air. Now obviously, they're allowed to go whichever way, but we like to see that they are kind of going back and forth. Clamp it in, and slide forward and let the magic happen. Oh, now we can see very clearly that they are starting to favor one side. And then it's been 2 minutes, slide forward, and now they're stuck. They've made their choice. I think it's harder for them to associate something that smells kind of like food with danger. But if we associate it with safety, it makes a little more sense. Now let's see those results. Oh yes, there's definitely a bias. Weirdly enough, I have not once gotten one where there have been no flies in the shock tube. There's always at least around 13 at minimum out of 100. Science is both exhilarating and fun, and you get to figure out things that nobody's ever discovered before. But also you're figuring out something nobody's ever discovered before, and it's really irritating because you don't know how to do it. I feel like I have gained so much experience, but I don't have enough. And I'm excited for the future.